Hello everyone. Hello everybody. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on wherever you are. Thank you all of you. Thank you all. Thank you so much for joining us. You know, Welcome to the fourth NIF Connect meetup. All of us from NIF would like to first thank you for being part of this vibrant and enthusiastic community. My name is Chetan, and I'm happy to welcome all of you to the NIF Connect meetup. After three back-to-back rocking Connect sessions, it's time once again for all of us to connect and learn, more about this amazing world of cybersecurity and the different tools and technologies involved in cybersecurity. Right? We at Net Monastery, we at NIF celebrate the defense guys. We are the people who are defending organizations against attacks, and the Connect community is all about knowing more about how to defend your networks better. We have some exciting sessions lined up, and I'm certainly not going to be the one standing between all of you guys and our panelists. So without any further delay, let me invite our very own Mervyn Marks to come on board and let us know what's in store for the sessions. So Mervyn, over to you.
Uh, Thanks, Chetan. Thanks for that introduction. I think it was good, really great, actually. So before we get started, right, with the NIF Connect, as always, everyone should know we have, as Chetan mentioned, we have a great session lined up, the meetup. It's going to be great. We have a lot of exciting freebies as well, right? And before just starting breaking down the entire agenda for everyone, also like to tell people how they have been, how the whole NIF community has been contributing towards the whole stack.nif.it. So, our previous three connects have been great. We've seen the community. We actually love the fact the community has been coming up, asking questions, answering questions, collaborating, and all of this. And make a note of that link, stack.nif.it. So all you need to do is ask questions, share your knowledge, and become a community captain. In the process, you win an Amazon gift voucher worth 1,000 rupees. Yeah, that's right. We're just going crazy with the Amazon vouchers, giving everyone. So yeah, that is one of the facts. And another fact is we're going live on YouTube. This is actually being streamed live on YouTube as usual. So just a reminder, the entire session recording will be sent to your registered email. And so don't worry if you get disconnected. Fret not. You shall all be obviously receiving an entire, and you can also view this on streaming on YouTube. Yeah, this is another thing that we're trying to get from the entire community. So it's an opportunity. Many of people have been approaching us and telling us, we'd like to present on the Connect Connect meetups that we have. So this is an opportunity for everyone who has the willingness to share, right, and who has a good topic to share about in terms of cybersecurity, right. So the Connect community is all about that. So you can join the list of existing Connect heroes. It's like Ankit Bose, Ankit Panchal, Chirag Savla, from all of these great guys I've spoken to. They have presented on the Connect sessions with great topics, and all of their Connect sessions are still available on the Connect landing page. You can obviously visit that whenever. Some great topics from some great guys. Also, the time to acknowledge our tech and knowledge partners who have contributed as well. So in terms of their time, in terms of the resources that they have provided, in terms of the knowledge and know-how that they have shared with us, to actually go ahead and take and, to share with the community. It's a very important factor that, we have to acknowledge at a certain point in time. So that's one end, right? I'm just going to break it down for you in terms of the agenda. So in the agenda, we're first starting with Lenora, who will be telling us about CVE analysis using VFeeds. The session duration is 15 minutes over there. Then we'll have featured guests from VFeeds, that is NJ Ouchin and Rachid Harrando. They are the founders of VFeeds, and they will be telling us the importance of having a vulnerability management strategy in place. Now, their session will last 30 minutes. Obviously, we will end with the Q&A and the conclusion, and obviously announcing the best question asked for this particular Connect session. So without further ado, let's move on to our first presenter. So Lenora, Now, a little bit of a brief about Lenora. So, Lenora is a cybersecurity analyst at NIF. Right? She builds use cases for NIF customers and partners. So that's what she does. In her free time, she loves sketching and writing short poems. Bringing to fact the short poems, Lenora, if you're listening to this right now, you owe me a poem for the first introduction I did for you in the Konnect one. So I put it out there in open in the public. So that's one thing. She'll be talking about CVE analysis using VFeeds. Now, for this particular session, we have technology partners who have contributed towards this particular session and helping us. So we have VFeeds, a little bit about VFeeds. VFeed technology and engines transform big data into correlated vulnerability, threat intelligence database, and multi-format feeds. Their client base comprises of a wide and diverse range of individuals, businesses, consultation firms, certs, governmental organizations, software companies, and intelligence providers. We have Freshdesk from Freshworks. Now, Freshdesk is a cloud-based customer support software and a help desk solution with comprehensive set of tools and features to help businesses support all the needs of their customers. Freshworks are the developers of a range of solutions from customer support, information technology, service management, sales, customer relationship management, and call center software solutions. So, without further ado, I will hand it over to Lenora to take it forward.
Good afternoon, everyone. Mervin, the poem is on its way, I assure you. So I'll be sharing my screen now. So my topic for today is CVE analysis using VFeeds. CVEs are common vulnerabilities and exposures, and the CVE dictionary's main purpose is to standardize the way each publicly known security vulnerability or exposure is identified. Every CVE has a unique identifier, which includes the year it was published, followed by a 4-digit serial number. We're going to be using the lookup directive in NIF, and the functions that are going to be used along with the lookup directive are keyword to CVE. So in this particular function, we're going to feed VFeeds a keyword, and VFeeds will give you a list of CVE entries against it. The next function that we're going to use is getKebec. Here, Kebec stands for Common Attack Pattern Enumeration and Classification. CAPEC provides a comprehensive dictionary of known patterns of attack employed by adversaries to exploit known weaknesses in cyber-enabled capabilities. The next one is going to be Get CVSS 3 Score. CVSS stands for Common Vulnerability Scoring System that attempts to assign severity scores to vulnerabilities, allowing responders to prioritize responses according to threats, and 3 years stands for version 3. Post the analysis, we'll be using the trigger API to create a ticket on Freshdesk. Now, if you're looking to get things done faster and make use of smart automations, Freshdesk is where your search stops. All your support mails are turned into tickets, and these can be tracked for rapid and accurate response. We'll now go over to the NIF console to find out what these use cases are. So we're going to be fetching CVEs from Checkpoint Firewall. And as you can see, here are the CVEs that the firewall is giving us. And also there's an attack description associated with this CVE. So the CVE, the keyword that we're going to give VFeeds is OpenSSL here, which is in the description of the very first log that we can see here. For this, we are going to be using the field directive, and we'll name the field as keyword. Since we're going to add a string to it, we'll add string as the function and write OpenSSL as the keyword. Next, we'll use the lookup directive with VFeeds, and the function we were going to use was keyword to CVE along with the keyword field, and we're going to be using the aggregate function, which will give you a list of all the CVEs associated with the keyword OpenSSL. So once we run this query, VFeeds will give you a list of CVEs associated with OpenSSL as the keyword. You could use any other keyword here apart from OpenSSL. It could be even Microsoft Excel that everyone in the organization uses, and you can get a list of the CVEs associated with Excel. Now, if you want to find out additional information about any other CVE, you could first list out the unique CVEs. And post that, you could just run a context query that you can make on NIF. So it's pretty easy to create a context query here, and then you just right click on any of the fields you've created this query for and just run it. So it'll immediately give you the results. So here we used the get kepec function. This kepec gives you the attack methods associated with the CVE. It's kepec ID in case you want to go over to kepec and find out additional information about it. Kepec mitigations, your title given to the record, and also here it gives you the CWE ID. So CWE here stands for Common Weakness Enumeration, and it helps categorize software weaknesses through a common vocabulary. Now, the difference between CVEs and CWEs is that a CVE has to do with a specific instance within a product or a system, while a CWE is specific to the vulnerability. Now, for the next use case, we'll be using this query. So I'll break down this query for you. The first one, the first query here is the fetch directive, where we're fetching logs from the checkpoint firewall, and we'll just restrict the duration to 1 day. And we're going to list the unique CVEs, the log name, the source IP that is sending us the logs, and the attack description associated with it. For the next pipeline query, we are going to use the underscore lookup directive here, and we're going to use get CVSS3 score as the function for that CVE. Now, CVSS is a scoring system, and if your base metric score falls between 7 to 9, it's considered as a high severity vulnerability. So we're going to use the checkif directive here to compare if your base metric score exceeds 7, and we're going to include all those, followed by the raise directive, which will raise a module for that particular CVE. And after that, we're going to use the trigger API to create a ticket on fresh desk, which will be titled high severity vulnerability detected for the particular CVE, and use cve.txt here. Now, cve.txt contains specific values for this use case, and the ticket created on Freshdesk will display those values. And this can be different files and specific to use cases. And all you have to do is replace the name cve.txt with the name of the file that you've created for the use case. Now, the values in the cve.txt file includes the ones that we're going to see on Freshdesk. So we'll just run this query. So we can see that there is one result here in which the CVE exceeds the base metric score of 7. So it has a score of 8. Now we'll go to Freshdesk and we'll find out the ticket and what it displays. So the fields that we had added in CVE.txt includes the base metric score, which here is 8, the exploit score, which gives you the ease of exploit on a scale of 1 to 10, the impact score, which gives you the impact of exploit, followed by the log name, which was checkpoint firewall, the source IP, and the attack message that was associated with it. Also, we've also added the CVE.mitre site link here in case you want to go and find out information about that CVE. Apart from this, you could also assign priorities to tickets here, and you could also decide whom to assign this ticket to. uh, Freshdesk also has its own dashboard that helps us visualize the ticket trends, and you could monitor the volume of tickets that were received on a weekly basis along with the ones that are yet to be resolved. So this chart gives you an overview of that. Also, you could find out which hour of the day or day of the week receives the most number of tickets. So this could help you in allocating resources efficiently in order to resolve your tickets faster. So that's about it. Over to you, Mervin.
That was Lenora. Thank you very much for that great presentation on CVEs, and that was very informative. Obviously, if anyone has questions very specific to Lenora's presentation, they can go ahead and send that. Hit the Q&A tab. Mention your questions. Mention the name of the presenter, and that's a sign for Lenora to keep answering those questions. Also, I'm looking forward to that poem. Hopefully, I get it this time. So yeah, again, I just mentioned questions, right? So questions are most important. You stand a chance of winning for this particular meetup. If you ask the best question for this particular meetup, you stand a chance of winning a 1,000 rupee gift voucher like our previous winners. Sohil Tyagi, there's Vamsi Krishna, and the last one that was won by Vaibhav Tole, which Vamsi Krishna actually very closely came to that, but was beaten by Vaibhav Tole. So yeah, that's a great chance. So again, hit the Q&A tab. Feel free, ask the question, right? And you stand a chance of winning. Another way of winning, right, freebies is obviously the Social Geek Award. So that's very simple. Tweet on Twitter and post on FB. Use our handles hashtag DNIF Konnect and tag us at @NIF HQ, and you stand a chance of winning there as well. A 1,000 rupee gift voucher. As I mentioned, we're just going crazy with the gift vouchers here. Now, this is the best part. So we come to the featured guests for the evening. We have NJ, Ouchin and Rachid Harrando, who are, obviously, I can give you a short brief about them, but it's extremely interesting. So NJ has over 20 years of experience in security assessment, penetration testing, and vulnerability management, with excellent knowledge of industry standards. He's the founder of a leading renowned InfoSec community tool portal called toolwatch.org. He's the co-founder, along with Rashid, for the Black Hat Arsenal event, where both of them have helped improve the development and expansion from the US to Europe and Asia. Rashid is also NJ is founder of VFeed Inc., an industry-leading world's largest correlated vulnerability indicator and threat intelligence database. At the same time, Rachid, along with NJ, co-founded NetPeace startup. They have innovated vulnerability management solution. Rachid is currently the office of CISO at ServiceNow and the advisory board member at VFeed, and holds a CISSP certification. So they are going to tell us the importance of having a vulnerability management strategy in place. So over and above this, it's really been great. I know Rachid and Harrando. I haven't had the pleasure of meeting them because they're based in Paris, which is some place that everyone wants to go. But they are extremely great gentlemen to speak to and work with and collaborate with. They are our technology partners, and it's a great opportunity. I'm very thankful for them, taking out time out of their busy schedule and presenting over here and sharing their knowledge. So without taking much more time, I will pass it on to them, and hope everyone enjoys this session.
Hi everyone. Do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay, great. This is NJ. Actually, I'm gonna share the my presentation, my keynote, and Rachid, we're gonna start with the first slides, right? But first, I really want to thank you guys for coming up with this meetup. It was really nice. I have watched the previous sessions, and they were really informative and really nice. And thanks a lot for Lenora for what she did about this connection between your NIF SIM and VFeed. I was really impressed to see what you guys come up with the raw data we have and create out of it some kind of nice vulnerability management system. It's really quite impressive. So thanks for your work, guys, and for your support and for everything. So let me first share my screen, and then Rachid will start talking about some vision, some history about the VFeed, and then we will have some questions, some demos, and you're gonna be interactive. So let me share my screen. Here you go. Here is a keynote. Rachid, are you online? Are you online?
So NJ, he seems to be
He's online.
Unable to hear him.
Yeah, unable to hear him too.
Oh, okay. Right. I think it's one of those technical glitches once in a while. Maybe just needs to check the audio.
Can you hear me? Hello.
Oh, hello.
Yeah.
That's Rachid.
Great.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we do.
Absolutely.
Oh, sorry, I don't know what happened. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I was saying, so thank you, Marvin. Thank you, Lenora. Maybe Lenora can one of these days do a poem on CVEs. Who knows? So thank you. So yeah, so the topic of today is the importance of having a vulnerability management in our world of increasing systems with IoT coming up. So more and more systems to track vulnerabilities, more and more information, and that's what VFeed is doing, is gathering all this information in one place to enable organization to first make the right priorities based on the information, because where to focus, where you have so many systems and so many vulnerabilities. So that's what VFeed is here for, and what to do, right, when you have a vulnerability. And that's where, again, VFeed is here to. It's doing these two things, only these two things. We are focused on correlating the data we get from all the systems that exist. And as you know, with IoT coming up, we have more and more. And who is able to track it? And that's what we do. We only do that. We are a pure player. We don't have a product. We don't have a dash solution or fancy dashboard. We are only focused on maintaining the most comprehensive vulnerability database that exists. And that's what we do. That's all. And we make it easy to use based on the format we deliver to you. And like Lenora was showing before, easy to integrate, very quick for in your own organization. So that's what we do. And just a little bit of history behind it is, Nabil and I, we started as vulnerability assessment program for our customers, pen testing, doing a service to our customers. And for all of the cybersecurity work that we did, we always come up with the need of having to maintain the database with a list of information for each vulnerabilities to explain to our customers, and that's where it comes from. And then what happened is, then we put it on online for free at the beginning. Nabil put it as an open source project on internet for a long time because we are really involved in the open source security community. As Marvin, you described before, we created the Black Hat Arsenal, which is a place where open source and free security tools are showcased, and we still manage it to this date. So we select the best security open source tools to show at Black Hat around the world. And yeah, so then one thing to another, and you get customers asking us to support that database and wanted more and more. So then we invested and then grow and hire people to do all this. So that's why it started. That's a little bit of history. Now, VFeed, yeah, we correlate. Go ahead, please, Nabil. Go ahead.
Yeah, I can add something here. I mean, the story, there was something funny fact about the story thing, because we were stuck actually in a DMZ where there was no connection, no internet connection. At the time, I remember we wished to have something, and that's the story, the real story behind it. We wished to have something to get information from, and back then there was nothing. So we started working on this local database that we used since 2006, actually. The real story was started 2006. We were using it for a long time for ourselves. It was a private project, and every time we get stuck in some DMZ for an assignment, we had all this information to get data from, and we were doing a report at a matter of time, and all the people were asking, what's the heck? I mean, what's going on? Where do you grab your info and your data from? So we said, okay, this is a small project we had, and then things start to evolve after 2016, and you know, now the company started here in France, then we moved it to USA, and yeah, everything is going very fast. So Rachid, do you want me to get
please,
features thing? Okay, so we just aligned here like 4 features for the VFeed. We didn't deep dive into a lot of features because VFeed, you need to get into it. There is a lot of hacks, a lot of tricks, a lot of things to do with. So one of the most feature of VFeed is this correlation engine thing. We correlate, we aggregate a lot of data from scattered information and from scattered sources all over internet. So this is the worst part actually, because all these vendors, all these data sources have very different data models, have their very different data, let's say sources, or how we say that, data structures. So we need to unify them, and we need to clean them, sanitize them, to put them together, and to send them as feeds for our customers. That's the worst part, actually. And don't forget that all these vendors keep changing the way they are distributing the data all over internet. So we need to track them. We need to create programs to rely on other programs just to classify this information. Then the second feature is we wanted something compliant to the SCAP requirements, because we have understood, and we started actually evangelizing this since a long time about the use of standards such as CVE, CWEs, OVAL, because you cannot say, oh, I want vulnerability on some Apache version 3, version 4. I mean, you know, you get lost.
Nabil, can you explain quickly SCAP, just for some user?
The SCAP requirements, actually, it's you need to rely on like 5 or 6 requirements. That's what I'm saying. It's under brackets. You need to be CVE, CWE, OVAL, CCE, CBSS, and I think some other, I don't remember. And all this standards make that you are a SCAP requirement. I mean, you SCAP SCAPI compliant product, and you can go to the website and you can get all information about this SCAPI thing. When I say SCAPI, I just want to say globally CVE, CWE, OVAL, etc., CPEs actually, etc., etc. Now as well, the VFeed will provide the right IOCs for the right team. We have noticed that the VFeed is used by many kind of teams, many kind of companies, whether it's a small company, whether they are freelancers, hackers, or bug bounties guys, or even malware provider or intelligence provider. For each kind of, let's say, people, we have the right IOCs, whether it's a malware or Yara, let's say Yara signatures, vulnerability signatures, exploit, etc., etc. Then the quick deployment for threat response, you're going to see this in the demo to understand what I mean by quick deployment of threat response. I mean by that, you can, at sudden, if you have something, you can start putting the right IOCs in the defense mechanism, like patches, like start deploying, for example, the IPS or IDS signatures to start detecting, or start scanning the whole network using or leveraging some signatures to detect whether this vulnerability exists or not. And we do have a very nice, how we call that, a nice case of Petya. If you guys remember this Petya thing, we do really have a nice, I'm going to talk about it later. Okay. Okay, Mervin, for you, everything's fine? Everything's right? Everybody can hear me very well?
Yeah, we hear you perfect.
Yes,
Good.
absolutely. Yeah.
Nice. So the vulnerability structure of CVE, remember I was talking about this correlating thing. So here is, and why I wrote his CVE. If you know, vulnerabilities are not only CVEs, right? I think everybody agree with that. We have a lot of vulnerabilities that are not dealt or are not coped with the NVD thing. Many of them, like 7,000, I think it's 6,000 or 7,000. The problem is, as Rachid mentioned before, we need to focus. We need to focus on something. So, because your eyes cannot see different areas at the same time, unless you are a chameleon, we need to focus and to do one thing at a time. Here we started with the CVEs. We start to grab and collect all the information we can, all the data we can around the CVEs, and we have roadmap actually to extend the database to deal with non-CVEs. But for now, trust me, there are average like 120,000 vulnerabilities in the CVEs, and all of them, trust me, they are not dealt with as they should. And the great example was the Petya thing. So here, as you see the structure, we have the CVE, and around it, a lot of things. CAPEX, CBSS, FDCC, XSS, anti-malware baseline. I'm going to show you what does this means. Now, Rachid as well talk about the simplicity thing. I remember when we start dealing with the NVD and with other JSON or with the other vendor structures, I always hated. I mean, this is personal, actually. I have nothing against anyone, but it's always hated the way people were formatting their schema or their data into JSON file or XML or wherever. The information was a little bit tough and distracted and confused, and you need to get into this and you need to loop onto this to get the information you're looking for. We said, enough. We need something easy to use, something people can understand at once. So we come up actually with a format where we discover the vulnerability into information, like information we get from NVD as from now, classification like targets, packages, and weaknesses. And we will get to this packages thing because it's going to take form and it's going to take sense, actually. The packages will take sense in the future when we start to deal with the non-CVE things. Then we have the risk. And under the risk, you have the CVSS. You see, I didn't call CVSS a risk. Again, even if we are providing CVSS, personally, I disagree with the CVSS the CVSS format and the CBSS scoring system. We will explain that later, but it's not the right moment to do that. Then we have inspection with our remote and local. I mean, how are you going to scan this for this vulnerability remotely or locally. So we have signatures, you're gonna see that. Then we have exploitation. So you have all the items that you can be leveraged, or the sources or files that you can use to leverage the CVE. Then the defense. In the defense, you know, you have two ways to do it, either the preventive or detective. Detective means you detect the vulnerability, like using IPS signatures, Snort, Suricata, Juniper, Yara, etc., etc. And the preventive, all these patches. Note that there is something here we need to say, because we have this information coming from many of our customers. Ask us the question: do you guys give the patch or fix link? We always said, Rachid and I, we don't. We only give the link to the fixes. I mean, the fix, the button or the advisory, because here there is a liability in giving to customers the link to the patch. Let's imagine you guys at NIF your customer are using the data with the VFeed, and some of your customers have come through the links of patches, and he decided to deploy them. And catastrophic, what is going to happen? Something's going to go wrong, right? You're going to be held responsible for that, and then you're going to hold me responsible for giving you a product that gives you some very false and or non-relevant information. So that's why it's a liability thing. We don't give the direct link. When I mean direct link, it's the executable to be used to patch the system. So we need to avoid that. Because patching, you know, it's a tough process. It's part of the patching management thing, and it should be taken very carefully and very seriously by human, not by machines. So here is a small sample overview of sources we have. Not all of them, because we have over 100 sources, and we are proud about that. We have here some sources. As you see, everything is classified like information, like advisories, like detective thing, like exploit or scanners, right? And recently we have added support to the, if you see it here, the MITRE attack, and MITRE attack things. I think we are the first CVE or vulnerability database company that linked the attack MITRE identifiers with the CVE identifiers. I will give you some example. How it works, very easy. As Rachid said, we should be very easy to use. So we did a lot of things to make it easy for our customers. As for now, and historically, if you remember, database was created to be used in a local environment. So we keep this SQLite delivery mode because we have many customers actually that rely on it. So we kept it. So you have two ways to do so. The first way is you download the whole SQL database from a delivery service. Here we are relying on Amazon. So you download it and you have an API wrapper or API, or call it whatever. It's a wrapper to help you to list all information about this SQL database. I mean, we have some customers actually that use it themselves because SQL queries are very useful. It's very easy to use, and many of our customers have developed themselves queries. So this was really easy to use, but we say, okay, let's make it a step further and even more easier for our customers. And especially if you guys have product or services like NIF, for example, or Splunk, NIF, Splunk, Elasticsearch, those backend system can actually ingest and consume JSON files. So what we did is behind the scenes, we are generating in a private GitHub repository all these JSON files I'm going to show you in a bit and put them all together. So what the customers do is just a Git pull to sync with our private Git repository, and then consume this data with his back system, whether it's DNIF or Splunk or RSA Archer. We have customers actually using all kind of backend system, even proprietary. So, and that's how we do the delivery service. Very easy. And we will in the future, we will open as well a new service for the REST API, RESTful API. But yeah, as for now, this works very nice for most of our customers, and we have very big customers that really love the way we do. Okay, until then, there's a question. There is something we can explain before we get into the demo time.
Yeah, NJ. So there are a bunch of questions that have come in. All of them are in the Q&A tab. So one, we have Ankit, who has questioned, what is the interplay between vulnerability assessment and penetration testing? Right. I've seen Rachid that has already answered a few questions. So this is one of the questions. So the interplay between vulnerability assessment and penetration testing.
Okay, let me check. Where's my stuff here? Where can I see? Let me just stop the share so I can see the question.
It's the Q&A tab that's right at the bottom. It will show you the.
Where can you where it's here. Okay. Oh, okay. Rachid answered. Rachid, did you answer?
Yeah, I answered some, but the one we still have some in the list to answer. If you can see them.
Okay, interplay between vulnerability assessment and penetration testing. That's it. This one.
Well, all of them and below. There's all of them below. You can see.
Oh yeah, I can see them. Yeah. I mean, vulnerability assessment and penetration testing are very different. For the vulnerability assessment, you only scan for some vulnerabilities and put them in a vulnerability management process to be fixed. And certainly, this assessment, it's done like from internal environments to start gauging the risk of your system. It's more than a high level, let's say, a risk management thing. A pen testing or a bad bounty is very different. Pen testing, sometimes you do it from outside or even from inside sometimes, but the pen testing is you don't know about your environment. Is you hire people from other companies, because vulnerability assessment is done from people from the inside companies, I mean, local people. But pen testing, usually it's better to hire people from outside. They were gonna act like hackers, right? And they will start thinking like hackers, and we start to say, okay, how can we get into your system? How can we exploit your vulnerabilities? That's the main difference between. I mean, if you go now on internet, I mean, there are a lot of literature that explain really about this. They say this.
Maybe the next one is interesting. Maybe the next one is interesting now. Also now, when you explain, now that you explain. For Suricata usage with VFeed on the DNIF console of a lookup query. Maybe Marvin, someone can help us answer this one on Suricata and VFeed and DNIF.
Okay, so Rachid and NJ. So what we can do is connect with continue with the session. So there will be a lot of questions that come in, and whatever we can answer, we will, and whatever we can just type down those answers, and whatever we can, we'll post the answers on stack.nif.it. So yeah, in relation to VFeeds, in relation to the session that happened earlier. So we can continue with the session as and when, if you can type out the answers. And if it's relevant to you, my team at the end is here answering the questions. And you and Rachid, whoever would like to answer the questions in relation to VFeeds can do that via chat itself.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah, okay. This is nice. So we can answer the question later on and make it. I mean, we can release them if you want, right?
Yeah, yeah, true, true.
Yeah, because we need to think a lot about some question. You have to think a little bit. And okay, let me share again my screen. Okay, here you go. Now it's let's go through this demo time, right? We have Rachid, I can hear your typing.
Yeah,
You're hacking something.
maybe it's time for the demo, I guess. No.
Sorry.
I am answering the questions.
Okay, nice. Okay, great. Okay, let me go through the demo time. So here we have selected like 4 vulnerabilities that most of you know, and some of them, because I only focus on 4 because some of them they leverage some different kind of IOCs. Remember when I was talking about the IOCs thing, and some of them are leveraging some IOCs that they will be helpful in some case and not the other. For example, the malware, there are some very Yara and very nice Yara IOCs that could be helpful for anyone who's doing malware analysis and kind of job like that. So let's go with this blue keep thing. Remember the CVE 2019-0708? So how we use VFeed? You see that Lenora come up with a nice way to do it through DNIF. That's awesome. It's like a web interface. The thing is, we don't give fancy way or dashboard to do so. We only have the coil. I mean, we only send the call to your train to speed up. That's it. Data, raw data, but nicely wrapped up into JSON files. How we use the VFeed in three ways, either in a command line. I mean, locally, remember you say locally, you have this API wrapper, you use it into a command line, or call it as a library, as a lib. Third way, which is, as for myself, one of the best because you have the data already pre-formatted, is the JSON pre-formatted, a pre-generated way. Okay, let's go, for example, for this CVE one. And I'm connected to, you can see my computer. I'm just relying on Mervin to tell me. So
Yes, we absolutely can.
Good, thank you very much. I just,
yeah.
I think I have some problem with the sharing thing. Oh, sorry. Let me just check why I can't share.
That's not an issue. That's not an issue. So we mostly tend to keep ourselves on mute so that the background noise doesn't disturb you. So okay. Yeah, you can take your time, and whenever you're ready, just share back. Okay.
Okay, I share, but I can't type anything. I don't know why. That's weird. Whoa.
Wow, that's something new.
Okay.
Good?
Okay. Yes, it's good. I mean, okay. Sorry.
It's be one of those days, right? You should pray to the demo gods. The gods of the demo.
This always happened at demo time,
I know. That's one of the things.
Okay, now it's worked. Okay, let me go to my VFeed thing here. Here we go. So you have the API actually, or the wrapper is called PyVFeed, and you can get it actually from here. If you see here, you can get it from here, right? From the GitHub VFeed.io. And the API actually, it's open sourced, so you can even yourself modify it, do whatever you want with it. Whenever you have the database, inside is very easy. There's just a squill light here, and you can see it here. It's a squill light. There you go. And then you can do whatever you want. So the PyVFeed has some kind of, if you remember the classification of a JSON data, you have the information, classification, risk, inspection, exploitation, defense. Remember that? So we have reflected all this structure, this easy structure into the CVE. So let's say we have now this our blue keep thing. Let's get information about this blue keep. That's how we do it. Just -- info, and you get all information. I mean, up to here, there is nothing great because information CVE, you can have information even on in NVD or CVE, wherever you get information. But things start to be nice whenever you start to deal with the classification thing. Here we go. As you see, you have a lot of information, and our information is rendered in JSON file itself. So now what I'm gonna do, I'm going to show you this into a JSON file to understand what the information is about, right? So I'm gonna show you everything one by one. Then I'm going to open a JSON file in order to make it simple for people to understand what I'm doing, okay? Here we go. Same thing, if you want information about inspection, which are the NISUS, the scanners, the Nmap, whatever. I mean, it's a lot of information. Here we go. Sorry. Here we go. So you can see here information about OpenVAS, all these indicators, right? Here we go. Same thing. Let's say for with a exploitation, exploit. Here you go. Sorry. Here you go. Some exploits. And now with the defense thing. Take a time because there are a lot of information. Here you go. Here's all the information. Now let me show you everything I showed you here one by one. Here you go. Remember the files I showed you before? What I was doing, -- inspect, -- information. Actually, for every command line, you have this kind of information here. Sorry, this one. For information, you have this information. For classification, you have this information here in JSON file. But when you export the file, the CVE, you have all the file here at the same time. So what do we have in information? As you say, only description coming from the CVE NVD. Why we must actually keep this information coming from NVD? Because we are CVE compliant. So we need to rely on information they have, because when we start doing our compliance review, we need to keep their data as they are. Here you go. Now they have the classification. Remember, there is the targets part and the package part and the weaknesses. I'll go one by one so for you to understand. The targets, actually, what we did is we aligned the target with the NVD, because they changed the way they were distributing the targets. Before, they were only CPEs and that's it. Now they make it a little bit complicated. So you have the target and the version affected, and then some platform on which system they are running. So there is a kind of a tricky way, but we made it actually very easy to do and very easy to consume than the NVD themselves. So sometimes we have as well introduced this package thing, because as I said, sometimes the NVD does not give the whole CPEs, but rather they give you the affected packages. So we added this package thing to, let's say, to catch when there is a lack of information into targets. But what we do use mostly for now are CPEs. There is another thing why we did add the package, because if you guys know, there's a big difference between the CPEs coming from the NVD and the open source vulnerabilities, such as, for example, Node.js, JavaScript, PHP, etc., etc. Those people, those guys have a very different way to describe the vulnerability, and certainly the CPE does not deal with this very well. That's one of the most worst parts of the CPE thing. It cannot deal and cope with the open source packages, because there is another way. They have some ways to describe the package, like a package, like framework, library, version, etc., etc. And this cannot be reflected on CPE. So that's why we have added the packages. And first, we have tried it with the NVD. And in the future, we will add non-CVEs vulnerabilities. And for sure, we will use this package thing here to describe the libraries and the frameworks. Then you have the weaknesses. As I told you, we are CW compliant, so we reflect the CW coming with the NVD. We don't change anything. We don't change anything. We don't modify any information because we can't. We need to rely on the NVD information. But what we did add is all this attack pattern, those information from the CAPIC, they are mostly used by a software analyzers and software scanners or software auditors. They use this kind of, delivers this kind of information to describe the vulnerabilities on the software auditing or the software, programs or software, let's say, vulnerabilities and threats. Then you have the ranking part, which I really love because we have introduced that for one reason. I'm going to explain it later. So this categorization thing will give you whether this vulnerability it's part of some known category. For example, this one is like OWASP top 10 2004. They are as well 2017. You know, there's this OWASP top 10. So we have added them as well here. So you have all kind of categorization here. And remember this one, 2009 to 25. It means that this vulnerability was amongst this top 5, the top 25. Sorry. Then we have the WASC. The WASC stands for the Web Application Security Consortium, the web app. Remember this one? And whenever we have the identifier, we added 2. What I want to add is something about here. The attack meter, whenever we have an ID, I'll show you later one example with attack meter. You're gonna see this attack meter thing. Now we have the risk. You have all the components of the both CVSS 2 and CVSS 3. Sometimes they are really tricky, and that's why I said myself, I'm not a big fan of the CVSS. That's why I put it here, not a risk, but CVSS mostly give you a severity, but it should not be used alone. That's why we have added all this categorization thing, because we are in our way to patent a new scoring system that we are going to add here. If you see in the risk, they will have something called VFeed scoring that will rely on the relevance, on the exploitability, on the malware, not malware, on the coverage of the vulnerability, on all kind of categorization you've seen here, on how the vulnerability was tricked in some let's say, some leaking problems on internet, like the PTR. Remember, it was a leak from the NSA and kind of information. So we are on our way to patent this. I'm not going to talk a lot about it because we need to keep it for now confidential. So when it's done, it will be used here. And I think many customers are going to love it because it will a little bit move away from the CVSS thing, which is for me obvious, and it's not based on some mathematical real formulas. The formulas has been created. I mean, there is no real mathematical formula behind it. And what else I can do is that sometimes if you see the CVSS can give you too tricky CVSS scores, either if you leverage CVSS 2 or CVSS 3, and I mean, most of customers are lost. So that's why we will need to move further from the CVSS to something else, more based on the statistical or probability or mathematical background. So that's what we are doing. So then we have, if you remember, the inspection part, which is you have remote and local. Here there is no local, only remote. I'm going to show you examples where you have remote things. So you have NISs, you have all the IDs, you have even actually the file you can leverage to scan for this one. So remember, Mervin, we were talking about this PETIA case study.
Right, right.
So I can talk about it here or not?
Yeah, please, please. So there was one of the things that we wanted to ask in terms of it. It would be a good thing to enlighten all the listeners with.
Okay, good, nice. So there is actually a nice case where VFeed Inc. was working with some CSERT French company that they don't want me to say about the name. I mean, unfortunately, it was a nice case. We have worked with the head of this French company. And if you guys remember the WannaCry, when they hits the system first, shortly after, there was this NSA leak, this exploit called Eternal Blue. Remember this one? And there were a lot of noises and a lot of triggers that this exploit is going to be used somehow to do a second wave of attacks like WannaCry. And the vulnerability back then, by the way, they were already identified as I remember, CVE 2017 and 170143 and 17144. And those were already known 90 days before the attack, which is really lame and really incredible. And many of customers and many of people were hit by this PETIA thing, this ransomware or malware, whatever you call it. So what happened is this guy called me, and they have the VFeed product, and he starts bringing all these IOCs, and he did a very large campaign to his customers. And actually what he did, he leveraged the NIS's scans. I'm going to show you actually the PETIA so you would see what I'm talking about. It was 17, CVE 143. Here we go. That's the PETIA one, if you remember it, called Eternal Blue. You have all the references. You see here the difference of what I'm saying about CVSS 3 and CVSS 2. One gives 8.6 and the other gives 2.2. That's why I hate actually the CBSS scoring. And actually, okay, this is what I wanted to talk about. He leveraged the VFeed and get all kind of information he could use to scan inside his computers or customers' computers, which system could be potentially be targeted. And it happens to look that we gave all this here files that you can use even in map actually to detect very quickly. And what he did, he detected it and tried to play with authorization to exploit, because here we go, you have even the exploit. So he did himself a risk assessment, not using CVSS, because CVSS gives you 2.9. It means nothing gonna work. But hey, this PETIA thing, this Eternal Blue, has an exploit, even in Metasploit, so it would be very easy to do so. Then start with the preventive part, which is, start with the defense, which we gives actually the link to the fixes. As I say, not the real pack, not the exact packages, but at least the fix to help you. Here I'm saying here, it is in French, sorry about that. They give you what kind of file you need to download, right? And then what this CSERT guys did, he deployed, depends on what kind of system you have, either Juniper, NetScreen, Snort, Suricata. He deployed the right signatures to start detecting what's going on. So you see, in one shot, you have all indicators to start protecting, identifying, scanning yourself against this vulnerability or this malware before even it happened. And when it happens, this guy was already ahead of everyone. Everything was patched and everything was working well. So then he decided to call me and say, thank you very much for what you guys gave. And it works very fine. And he didn't know what other people were affected by that. So what I'm saying, now you can add, you can use this kind of information alongside the NIF, framework, because NIF framework can help you actually to have nice dashboards and to classify all information. As Lenora showed you, and I say we don't give dashboards, so you can only get information from a raw way. So now I'm going to skip to. All the information look the same, but let me check this dirty cow one. Remember this one too? Let me use it actually here. And let me check if there is some nice information I can show you here. Oh, here we go. Dirty cow, remember it? This one? It was very nice vulnerability. Everybody was talking about it. It was very famous in the news, and right. So we, as I told you, we have a lot of way to get information. Now we have added the support to GitHub recently, like yesterday. I think you get the newsletter, right? And now we do have exploits that are distributed through the GitHub. So whenever you have information from the GitHub, you get it here as well. So you have 3 ways to get it now: exploit, DB, GitHub, Saint. And the best part here is the detective for people who's doing malware. You have all the Yara information. You have the Yara information here about, you have the rule here. I don't know if you can see it. It's here. It's here. Here you go.
Yep. Yeah, we can see that.
I can do it even nicely with my, here you go, defense. Oh, sorry, this is not the CVE. Here you go. You have the Yara thing here. And alongside all other detective things, Snort and everything else. So this one was very nice, actually. Then you have a malware, Zyklon. This one was as well very famous. So let me check what we can get here. No, I want to show something. Weaknesses here. I have one with the with attack miter, because I want to show you attack miter actually in action. Sorry, let me just check it because I have it here. IoT. Okay, okay, here we go. Is this one? This one is an IoT actually vulnerability. It's a DSAN device that they found out that there is a hard-coded password inside it, or a key, right? So we do have all kind of information very quickly affected. So if you see here, you don't have the version here, because the version actually is given into the CVSS itself. But if you go to the package, you know that the package is the package is the version is the package is the product is H660RM firmware, and then the affected version is this one, which corroborates actually what we get into the CVSS, which is nice. Then we have something else actually. Here you go. The ranking, we have a lot of kind of information here. You have here the miter. If you guys know about this miter, here you go. It gives you actually the profile of this attack, how it could be used, the tactic, credential access, the permission required actually to get into your system, what they bypass. Here, there is no information coming from the attack miter themselves, the file from which I get information, and the data sources from which you can get your IOCs. I mean, if there's a suspicion about something happened in your system, what you need to do to start looking at this vulnerability, it's for sure in file monitoring and the process command line parameters. So here we go. This is a nice way to see how we can link miter attack with the CVE, with the CVE, and it is corroborating because the name is credentialing files, and the name actually of the weakness is use of hard-coded confidential. It works fine. And you have all kind of information as well. There is an exploit here. This one is very, very new. So for now, there is no remote inspection from the vendors, but at least we have an exploit here, disclosure and exploit, how to exploit that, and at least you can start how to do. I mean, start connecting to the vendor here. Advisory to find a workaround. Okay, I was here, right? You want me to continue for the Zyklon, or want me to move forward?
Oh, this looks good. Please do show us.
Okay. (2017). Here you go. Same. And you see, you still have the same information, same kind of information, always classification, always targets, packages here. You see all the packages here. Same weaknesses again, with their CAPEC, with their mitigation. Actually, in the package, you have the mitigation for every kind of ID. Like, for example, this one is called API abuse or injection. What you have to do. This is, by the way, general information, actually, not specific. The specific are for actually the patches, right? So this is general. You can use them. You can leverage them to educate actually the developers. If you have developers, if you have people, inside your company, you can even use this kind of information to educate it for the awareness purposes. rather than technical, actually. Then you have CBSS, inspection, OVAS. You have all this OVAL thing you can leverage. Actually, have a lot of dozen of them here. Then you have a local one here. This is very nice one. You have OVAL. I mean, the local, as we are OVAL compliant, we have choose to rely upon the OVAL interpreter. I mean, if you need to go and look for it, it's called local interpreter. For people who know what local interpreter is, they are a nice way to scan locally for your vulnerability. Because you need to know something about the vulnerability management. People don't know when the vendors will implement the checks, actually. This is one thing in the vulnerability management. And something you need to be aware of is no scanner will find all vulnerabilities. If you hear somewhere, our scanner can detect 100%, is not true. It's only marketing. Because vendors overlap. So you need to use multiple data sources to understand. And for sure, and that's why I'm talking about the OVAL here, one of the best trick is some vulnerability could not be found unless with an authenticated access or locally, not remotely. And the OVAL is one of the best way to identify these local vulnerabilities. So here, what we do is we give multiple files or multiple signatures, if you can see them here, to be leveraged to use with OVAL and to scan for the local system. Then again, you have the exploits, and here you have exploit from this one. It's coming in double. It's just a small way. It's a small fix we're going to implement very quickly. We just noticed that when we added the GitHub the GitHub source, it's not a big deal. It's going to be fixed today. Just what I'm saying here, the best part is you have two. Oh, sorry, it's not. Oh, I'm mistaken. It's not double, actually. It's from two different people. You see, I thought it was a doublon, but it's not. Then you have the preventive to deal with this Z-clone malware. People who knew about the CVE could very quickly leverage these fixes to close and to fix their systems. And we do actually, from an awareness perspective, we always publish on our VFeed Twitter account or LinkedIn sometimes. If you guys have this CVE, it may lead to some remote virus or remote malware. So this is how you deal with it. You need to scan for it. How to scan for it. This is the IUCs. It's generally we do that. If you follow us, you will see sometimes this kind of post we are doing on Twitter. It's from an awareness purposes, actually. Then you have all this part called the detective one. As we are talking about a malware here, and this is, I think, one of the best. It's a very nice example because you have here 4 ways to detect this malware on your network, on your premises. You have the Juniper, the NetScreen one, his ID, and the signature is here. Then you have the Snort, signatures could be get from here. Then you have the Suricata. If you are using Suricata, here is the accesses. Here is the IDs and the URL signature link. And then you have the Yara thing. Here, for now, we didn't put the URL because we're still thinking to modify this part here to make it more relevant. But the Yara signatures are really this one here, because we grab them from different sources on internet, on GitHub, on etc. etc. Is it okay for now? It's for now.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Good. So we can move on now to second part of the demo? Rachid, something to add is okay?
No, perfect. Yeah, perfect.
Did I miss something?
The demo part. So, no.
Okay, good.
I'm answering questions in the same time. We have like 30, well, like a lot of questions, so it's very exciting. So thank you, everybody, to ask questions. Keep asking.
Notice a lot of questions.
That's great, actually, when we do have a lot of questions. You know why? Because when people ask us questions, actually, they are sometimes seen as feature for us, like as enhancements. We did a lot, and we do hear a lot of people, and we try to reflect what they want into the product. And thank you very much. Go ahead, keep sending us questions, even the thing you don't really like. I mean, no offense here. We have customers, and we are challenged like every day. So go ahead. And so I'm going to show you actually a way to look for vulnerabilities if you have the exact name of the CPEs. Either CPE.
Nabil, can you explain CPEs? I think some people in the
Yeah,
audience don't.
The CPE actually stands for the Common Platform Enumeration. I will show you here an example so you will understand what the CPE is. Here you go. Here you go. This is the CPE. So instead of saying to someone, I have a vulnerability in the Microsoft.NET Framework 2.0 Service Pack 2, right? And sometimes you're gonna get mistaken. You're gonna forget this 2.0, right? Those people at the MITRE, they have formalized it, or this is a word for that. They make it standardize it. Yes, they standardize the name into something more relevant. And instead of saying that, they say, okay, you have a CPE/A, which means application here. Sometimes you have O, which means open system, operating system. This one here, if you translate it to a CPE, will mean this. Common Platform Enumeration. This is an application. The vendor is Microsoft. The product is .NET. This version is 2.0. And the service pack here, or the build, whatever, is 2.0. And today, CPE 2, this one here is 2.2. And there is an update and upgrades called CPE 2.3. They added a lot of other, let's say, other how to say that, other keys to expand the signification of this information, but it's still not relevant. So now the NVD is not working anymore with the CPE 2.2. They are still putting it in their website as informative, but no more in their JSON files or XML files. So all you see here, everything you've seen here, they are generated by VFeed. So we keep actually the support to CPE2. We do that using the CPE 2.3. This is, I mean, NVD is shifting now to CPE 2.3. And the same thing, I mean, it's 2.2. This is the version of the CPE. A means application, the Microsoft again, the version, the product, the version, and the build, and something they are here as well. You can have the language like French, English, Russian, Indian, etc., and other information here. Is okay with the CPE? CPE, have just to understand, it's like CVE. It's like CVE, but for product. Today, you cannot say, we have a patch vulnerability for a cross-site scripting. You say, okay, we have a CVE 2012-0011. That's it. Everybody agreed upon that, and no mistake. Okay, Rachid, whoever asked question about CPE, is it okay or not? So we can move forward.
Yeah, please use. I mean, just quickly, yeah, that's it.
He did? It's okay for him?
Yeah, it's okay. Please go ahead.
Great, thank you. So, as for now, I'm going to show you how to use the VFeed to look for, search for a CPE. As for now, we search for only CPEs. We didn't add, it's very easy actually, so everybody can do it. but hey, let's do it for you guys. You can search, for example, for I want a vulnerability on Apache version 2. I mean, you can type something like that. That's text, for example. Let's search text Apache 2, for example. This, we're going to do it. It's very easy. It's just an extend to our Python wrapper. But today, as we are CPE and CVE whatever compliant, we still rely on information and standard information, standardization. You need, guys, to rely on standardization. So we're going to do like this. I'm going to check any CPE, for example. Just give me one. Let me check for one. Okay, let me do this one. Okay. Oh, sorry. Here we go. Either I can choose 2.3 or 2.2. Either one is going to work. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to looking for all the vulnerabilities that affect an operating system. Guys, you see the O here? It's a Microsoft product, Microsoft. It's a Windows Server. It's a version 2012, and it's a cold edition. Here we go. Here, all the vulnerabilities you get from this. Remember, Lenora was using her DNIF platform to look for vulnerabilities about Apache or Excel, stuff like that. If Lenora gives me, for example, the CPE, exact CPE for the Excel, I can show you the same thing. And if you do remember, Lenora was only successful to list 2017 vulnerabilities, because there is a trick about that, because DNIF they are using as for now the demo thing, and the complete the full dashboard, I mean full database, had the complete vulnerabilities since 1999. And here's the proof. You have all the information since 2017, all the information that affect this platform. Okay, so we can do whatever other platform you want. I don't know. Let's try this one here. Here you go. An old one. Remember this Windows 10. This one I'm going to use the CPE 2.2. Here you go. All the information, all the vulnerabilities, and there are thousands of them. There are hundreds of them. There you go. Into 2019. Right? So now let's do something better. I call it few lines to do a huge tricks. Remember I told you you can use either JSON VFeed either in command line or using it through the JSON file. And I'm going to show you. Here is the data. Here is actually where our customers get the information from here. All the data are here, right? From 2019 up to 1999. With a change log, if you see there was an update just 2 hours ago, and you have a change log here for all the new files and everything. So we keep track for new thing. Here we go. And this is how our customers are getting information. You have all the new information coming here, all the new CVEs, and then the updated one. And daily, you have a list of kind of stuff like that. And this is how our customers are doing it. Now, let me show you something else. Okay, here you go. There's one big trick here in CBSS is in the VFeed is you can use it as a library. The whole VFeed can be used as library, and you can call actually this. Remember those methods all together or separately to get the information you want. And everything is done through a small API code. I mean, small Python code. Let's imagine you have a script. If you imagine you have a platform, and you have your product, and your product can actually interact with Python scripts, then what you're going to do is you import our, let's say, our library. You can start searching that directly here. Remember this? So I'm going to execute this one, and it's going to show you actually, as for now, I'm going to come on this one. It's going to show you, remember this CPE as I did in command line. Now I'm going to show it to you, but using library call. Now I'm using it locally on my computer. My computer is a little slow. Oh, sorry. This is, I don't want to do that. Print, no. Print printability. Here you go. Sorry. Here you go. Here is the information, the same level of information we got here using the command line. Here you go. This one here is the same as this one here. But this one is used calling the library. This is very useful if you want to interact with the VFeed behind the scenes. You know, you don't want to use command line. All you want to do is ingest information through your scripts. So now let's see how to get only rules from detective from each vulnerability. From each one here, I'm going to loop in each one and get the rules I need to deploy. And see here, and what I want to say here, everything is documented, actually. You can go to documentation here. The documentation is here. It's accessible. Here you go. API reference. It's very easy to use. You have everything. Sorry, this one. You have everything. You have even the data response. You have a structure. You have the schema as well. And you have everything, every method here. The one I'm going to use is called get rules. Here you go. Get rules. Here you go. And you have a snippet here to tell you how you're going to do that. For example, here, you need to call the library called detective. Someone is hacking the computer or what? Here you go. I'm calling the detective library and then loop in every vulnerability, right? And get the rules. Let's do that and check what's going to happen. Here you go. You've seen that. For each vulnerability here, for example, this one, you get all the detective things here, one by one. All the vulnerabilities that are in the list of the one that affect this version of Windows. And for time being, I'm not going to do everything. It is the same thing for everything else. Is if you want to do advisories, you call the preventive. If you want to do exploits, let's try exploit actually, because people love exploits. Let's do exploit. Here you go. Now we're going to check all the exploits for all the vulnerabilities for this one here, for this CVE. And you can choose whatever you want, either Rockwell or IoTs or Apache or whatever. I didn't take something very big because it's going to consume a lot of time, because sometimes you have like 200 vulnerabilities per CPE, and you know you're going to stay here for 1 minute waiting for everything to finish. Here we go. Here you go. Boom. And imagine if you use that during your bug bounties, or you use that during your pen testing, or whenever you want to do a pen test, whatever we're going to do, whenever you find all the vulnerability on your system, right? When you do vulnerabilities, just you type here, I mean, the kind of your product you are looking for, and you try to find the exact CPE, you put it here, and boom, you get all your vulnerabilities here and the exploits and everything. And you can leverage that to hack. And that's how we do it. Here you go, you have documentation trial. So I think I'm okay. Unless there is something else.
In that case, I think there's a lot of information, and you know, I just want to remind the listeners that our recording of this will be sent to everyone, be live, and obviously you can go through the information, pause at whatever point that you like, and take a view of the information that NJ has been kind enough to show us, right? And you know, pop up some questions, and obviously you could pop it at stack.nif.8, and we'd be more than happy to answer them, and also it could be addressed directly to NJ and Rashid, and they'll be more than happy to answer those questions. You know, so now saying that, I'd like to thank Rashid and NJ for this, you know, for attending, for contributing towards the session, right? And we'll move on from there. So, as I mentioned earlier, like, it's all about the community. Konnect, as even Chetan mentioned, as everyone mentioned in this thing, the whole idea behind Konnect is to have like-minded people come up, you know, with you know, share information, you know, give that around, answer questions, and you know, interact with each another. And the only way we could do that is by your feedback, you know, and understanding how we can make these Konnect meetups better. So write to us with your ideas. Write to us if you'd even like to, you know, be a part of the Konnect session. That also is an option. So all you need it to do is write, you know, give us your suggestions, give us your feedback at connect@nif.it. The Community Captain Award again is out there for the reach. Another chance to give, you know, another chance for everyone to win an Amazon gift voucher with ₹1,000. So go to stack.nif.it. You know, ask questions, as I mentioned. Take part, interact with you know, other like-minded people, and you know, that's another chance. And as I mentioned, for the Konnect community, if you have an idea, if you have you know, suggestions to improve, you know, or you would like to present something, all you need is a will to basically go out there and present, and a good topic, and yeah, you just write to us at connect@nif.it. And just a reminder, all presenters are provided with an Amazon gift voucher that is assured, that ₹1,000 Amazon gift voucher awaiting all the presenters who have come on NIF Konnect. So yeah, right now we are almost close to running out of time, but without fail, we do announce the best, you know, the winner of the best question asked for this particular NIF Konnect meetup. So just give us a moment, and we will make the announcement. Just checking in the background to see who the winner is. Great. So my team has rustled up, and we have a winner. So congratulations, Prakash Kumar Ranjan. You have won the best for the, you know, you won the award for the best question asked for this particular Konnect session. That entitles you to a ₹1,000 gift voucher. So that is it at this point in time. Okay, so once again, congratulations to Prakash, and I would like to now conclude the session, right? Just a big round of thanks to NJ and Rachid from VFeeds for their amazing presentation and the amazing time they have contributed towards us, towards the NIF Konnect community. I would like to thank Lenora for her insightful presentation on CVE analysis using VFeeds. Special thanks to knowledge partners of obviously VFeeds and Fresh Test from Freshworks. Last but not least, thanks to Chetan as well for initiating the whole NIF Konnect for us and starting that up. Last but not least, who can forget the attendees? Who can forget the contributors towards the session? Thank you for being a part of this particular NIF session, this NIF meetup. Thank you for contributing. Thank you for attending, and till next time. Have fun and have a good evening.
Mervin, can I add something?
Oh yeah, of course, please.
Okay, Mervin, we will be in the Black Hat Arsenal this year in 2009. I mean, in August, right? If any of these attendees is around, I mean, in the Black Hat, please, guys, the note. I mean, you can come and join us. We will be very happy to show you some people there, to connect you with some people over there, and we will bring in a lot of new stuff. So whenever you are there, do not hesitate to come and say hi, and hopefully maybe we can even answer your question face to face. And and there is a big Indian community actually in the Black Hat Arsenal. So we have a lot of guys a lot of hackers from India. So you will be in good hand.
Yeah, I think the community members would love that opportunity. Depending on who's going there, yeah, they would most probably. And after this, I believe they've understood that whole concept, and they would more than be happy to come and meet you and face to face and ask those questions. But anyways, once again, thank you for contributing, and that's about it. So till next session, have a great evening.
Thank you very much, Mervin. Thank you for everything. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.